Okay, so 5 minutes goes past really slowly when you're all just staring at each other on video. So good morning and welcome to the Youth Employment Service August webinar. My name is Thithi Nteta and I will be your guest facilitator this morning as we have a robust discussion around the power that female creativity unleashes and how corporate South Africa can not only drive non-gender biased business practices, but also support and capacitate women within the workforce. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, YES is a South African business-driven not-for-profit that works in partnership with companies, labor and the government to tackle youth unemployment in South Africa by creating 12-month quality work experiences for unemployed youth through the private sector. I'm going to hand over now to Farai Mubaiwa, who is the YES Chief Partnerships Officer, so that she can chat us through a little bit more about YES and its impact.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm so grateful to be here this morning as we are wrapping up the end of Women's Month. What an incredible Women's Month it's been. I must say, for me, this Women's Month has felt so different because there's been a strong call to action for corporates to actually look at how are they actively empowering young women, not just at your entry-level roles, but also for your senior management as well. So we're really, really excited to be here and have what's going to be an exciting webinar. So just to tell you about YES, YES was born out of the CEO initiative in 2016. We are the only organization in the country where corporates can sign up with YES and get their BEE levels up, so that they are compliant with the legislation, but also are creating significant impact. Over and above being with YES from a BEE perspective, a lot more clients are signing up with YES to align the YES program with the Sustainable Development Goals, as well as their ESG strategies. You can see our timeline of impact. I mean, I've not heard of any other organization that in 3.5 years has created over 82,000 jobs with no government funding at all. And we're grateful for the corporate sponsorships we have, which are now at over 2,000. So you may be asking yourself, what exactly is YES? And on the next slide, I'll tell you about the YES journey and what exactly we do. YES is an enabler of a 12-month quality work experience opportunity for unemployed youth. And we focus on ensuring that young people gain critical skills on the ground so that they can be employable. Now, at the end of the program, youth emerge with 12 months of experience, a smartphone, a CV, and a reference letter. And research shows us that a reference letter triples your chances of employment. Hence, it's such a key feature for us within the YES program. Benefit for corporates who invest in YES is that they can move 1 or 2 BEE levels up on the scorecard. But more than signing up with YES for BEE purposes, like I mentioned, YES is an integrated solution which enables you to uplift the communities you work within. And on this webinar today, we have got 2 really great implementation partners who work with us at YES, who provide you with quality work experience across the education sector, as well as the creative economy. Now, in the short amount of time that YES has been running, we've made significant impact to date. And this includes over 82,000 work experience opportunities for unemployed youth. We've had over 2,200 companies sign up with YES. And for me, the most exciting stat, the YES youth salaries that have been earned by the youth total to 4.7 billion rand that is re-injected into the economy. Now, the beauty of this is that because of the different models we have at YES, we don't require young people to migrate from Ratlo to come to Sandton in search of opportunities. A young person can be based within their home community, do work that is meaningful for the community, and earn a salary. And that salary is then reinvested into the community. And that's how we build local economies. Some other interesting stats are that 58% of YES youth are women. And we've been so intentional in this as YES. So we understand that young women, particularly young Black women, face and bear the brunt of unemployment significantly more. And as a result, we want to create opportunities for young women to be in employment. And a lot of the roles we put youth into are your unconventional roles, are roles that traditionally you may not expect women to be in. These are roles like coders, cloud computers, drone pilots, farmers. We've got so many different roles that youth are within, and we've been very deliberate in terms of the opportunities we are creating for young women, because research does show us that if you invest in a woman, you're not only investing in her, you're investing in her family, but more than that, within the community. Other interesting stats are that we have then awarded 750 level ups to corporates. And most exciting is that every Yes Youth gets a smartphone that is preloaded with zero-rated learning apps. And we have injected over 23 million learning minutes on the smartphones, which shows you that young people are engaging in the content and they are actively working so that they can enhance themselves and so that they enhance their employability. Now, I'll briefly talk you through how Yes works, and then after that, I'll hand it back to our incredible guest facilitator so that she can talk to you more about the other partners that we've got on the call. So Yes works in two ways. Option one is that corporates can place youth within their own business and then provide youth with a 12-month quality work experience. If you pick this option, Yes's role would be to support you and your youth throughout this journey. So your youth will be issued with a smartphone, they will be inducted. We have a call center that will call your youth every single month. We'll also ensure that at the end of the program, youth are off-boarded, and also that we give you a confirmation letter so that you can get your BEE level up. Option two is that we place youth at an existing Yes partner. And this is often the option for corporates who perhaps have a target that is way too big that they can't house the youth internally, or for corporates who want to align the Yes program with their CSI objectives. Yes has got over 30 implementation partners who have signed up with us, who are vetted, who provide youth with quality work experience. This model, as it stands, accounts for 35% of Yes placements. And the beauty of this model is that we call it the turnkey solution, because corporates then don't have to implement an entire Yes program, which does take a lot of admin. That functionality is outsourced to vetted partners like Youth at Work, like Tilt, who ensure that your youth have a quality work experience. Youth are placed across different sectors, ranging from education to healthcare to the creative economy to ICT. And more than that, these partners ensure that they are monitoring your youth throughout their journey, that they have a quality experience, that youth are being paid every single month. And this also allows you to have youth who are based within your more rural communities so that we can ensure that impact is happening. So Yes is definitely an organization that has grown, and we do have sustainable solutions so that youth can thrive and flourish beyond the Yes program. And now I hand it back to our facilitator. Thank you, Thithi.
Thank you so much, Farai. You know, what I'm picking up on here is that there are definitely organizations who exist out there who are providing what one could term simple solutions with regards to creating a pipeline of young people who are able to walk into the workforce. And I suppose as we get into our discussion, it's going to be interesting for us to talk about what are some of the challenges, what are some of the barriers, and maybe just unpack that a little bit more. But for now, what I am going to do is I'm going to be handing over to Erica, Erica Kempken, who's the director at Youth at Work, who's one of Yes's implementation partners, to take us through some of the case studies and impact work that they've done.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for the invitation to join. Yeah, it's a real honor and privilege to be here. You know, I joined with a partner of mine, and I just want to go back a little step. I'm a teacher by profession, and I knew that I can and want to do something in community. I had experience, I had workforce, and I just had a passion deep down inside. But knowing how to run a business, really structure it well and look after all the finances is not my key expertise. And when I wanted to start a business, I really asked my friends, and I said to them, you know, I know I can do this. I want to do this. But I know what I'm good at, and I really know what I'm not good at. And I need someone to partner with me. And it was quite clear that it was going to be a woman. It was quite clear that we were going to together have the creativity, the passion, and most importantly, the tenacity to really pull this off. Because youth unemployment is not a small game. I mean, it is a massive feat. It is a massive challenge. And so it takes a collective. And when Jacinta and I joined to start Youth at Work in early 2019, the question really wasn't, who's going to let us join? It is, who's going to stop us? Who's going to stop us from fulfilling our passion, from fulfilling our dream, and really going out there and doing great work? And I'd like to encourage all the other women on the journey to really keep this in mind. You are your only block. You know, if you go out there and do it, it's just a matter of feeling it. Sometimes you get it right, sometimes you don't get it right. It's not that important. The important thing is just to persevere and continue, because we do encourage one another. And that's what we've seen on the YES journey. It is a matter of also role modeling, supporting, co-thinking, co-creating, co-envisaging, that we can come up with something together. And that's what we've done for a number of youth.
It looks like we have lost the sound from Erica. I'll just send her a message so that she can know, and then in the meantime, I'll hand it back to you.
And I'm going to have the best soccer team, and I'm going to help little boys. So she was very intentional of really creating an environment for boys to thrive in, boys to be whole, boys to be the fathers of the future, who have been nurtured well and who have been supported. So that was a very intentional move. And I can just share with you that Happiness shares with me every single week. You know, I met her almost 3 years ago, and every soccer game we're there again, and every little achievement is shared. So her passion and her dedication to having the best team. And she has put her salary behind this. She really has put her salary behind this to buy the balls, to buy the things. She approached us to buy the kit. She's not shy to ask. She's constantly going back to her network to ask. And that's what is needed in order to have this kind of creativity and drive to make impact. So a wonderful, amazing young woman who's really, really going places. Our next example is V. And Vuyelwa is sitting out in Limpopo, and there are very few opportunities. So I know Farai, we started off with the corporates and where we're going in corporates, but in places like Tabazimbi and Northern, there really isn't that dream yet to say, I want to be in Sandton, you know. It is about how do I survive now, and also how do I support and serve my community. And V is a graduate who thought about it and was out there, then joined the YES program and really took up the learning. Farai spoke about those learning modules, and also with Youth at Work on our website, we have another Allison platform, which has got another 4,000 courses that you can study. And we just took up the passion to read up, to study, and eventually to say, okay, where am I going to take my salary? She did not sit back and wait and say, I can't start because I don't have a bakery and I don't have equipment and I don't have an oven. She's like, but I've got my home. I've got my home cooker and I've got my mom who's going to help me and my sisters. And together we're going to create cookies and baking, because that's what we love doing. We do it together. We have loads of fun, and we're going to make money and serve the community. And so her passion, as well as with her skill, really combined with her learning, her passion for learning and constantly growing and developing, has led her into creating a business that now, I mean, if you look at that little picture there on the left, it's a massive, beautiful cake. It's divinely decorated. And if you really want your child to have a special birthday, you're going to order from these junk cookies. So yeah, this is an example of bringing it back. And then something else is, Pamela went and she looked at it, and she's a quiet kind of person. She's not there in the face, but she's very academic. She knows her stuff, and she's definitely passionate about maths. And she understands that for economic growth to happen, we have to have more children in the country choosing maths and science. And so her contribution is really to use her skill and to show the children that maths is not difficult. Science is very practical. If you go out in the veggie garden and you look at how plants are growing, you can see the geometry in them. You can read the science. So she is bringing that practical element of understanding maths and science to the community. And she's not shy to charge, which is great. You know, she's also wants to do it the correct way. She's registered her PTY Limited. She's charging a flat fee for her skills. She knows she's worth something, and she's getting everybody to pay. So there is also lots of learning that she's done through the modules, and the confidence that she's gained, but the skill that she has gained, and the tenacity of just sticking in there in those environments and making it work. And I think all of the examples have shown an absolute reverence for community life, for every single child that matters out there, and no one is left behind, and they pick them up in whichever intervention that they do. So a really, really big thank you to the amazing, beautiful women out there, young, strong, dedicated, passionate, who are making such a big difference in the community. Just going to quickly, Mokeba, just jump over these slides. Just in terms of gender equality, Farai was mentioning that there are more women on the YES program, and you can see it from our statistics over there. We track every month, what are we doing in the different cohorts? And maybe if you go to the next slide, please, you will see that not only are we tracking where the women are, but what they are doing, and also opening up their own businesses. And you can see that 78% of people opening, or young people opening their own business on our cohort, are young women. And I really say it's testimony to the fact that they are the breadwinners in most cases. They cannot rely on sitting at home and saying, I don't know where I'm going to get my income from. There is a drive and a push to, I will pay for my child's education, I will bring food home, I will do this and I will do that. And that drive is pushing them into self-employment, because in many cases, the employment opportunities simply aren't there in the communities that they serve. And the last slide is really looking at digital learning. It's not where am I going to find this, and I haven't registered for courses, knowing that all learning is out there. You just need to log online. Go out there and you can see that 44% of women are studying. So there's a high drive to becoming more professional, to becoming more learned, more educated, and I will take it and go anywhere where I can get it. So really a beautiful example of young women not sitting back, but really going for it and making a massive difference in the community. So just to invite everybody to really stand with a deep sense of humility, that we acknowledge everybody and know that it takes a huge amount of courage to imagine what it could be, to not sit back and where am I today, but where is my dream taking me tomorrow? And the will force and that absolute tenacity to not give up until that becomes a reality. So heads up to everybody over there, and I'm just really grateful to be part of such a beautiful initiative. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Erica. I think just hearing from you and Farai, some themes that I'm picking up on is how the impact of empowering women with regards to them participating in the economy, and the butterfly effect, so to speak, of what that means for families, for communities, for the greater country. And then, I mean, we're going to talk about it a little bit later, but the concept of leadership, you know, going through the case studies that you spoke about, seeing stories of women who have chosen to do impactful work to uplift their communities, create better men, for example, in the world. I think it was Happiness's program that you spoke to about that. I think we need to start to view overall leadership in a very different lens. There's a book that I love to talk about, which is called the Athena Doctrine. And it basically speaks about how if there were more women in leadership, the world would be a better place. If leadership attributes that are considered feminine, so to speak, were included more in the world would be a better place. So now I'd just like to hand over to Alexis Searle, who is the head of stakeholder engagement and partnerships at Metropolitan GetUp, to talk us through the YCC, which is the Youth Content Collective.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for having me. Just as a bit of background before I jump into the YCC and how it actually came into being, I'm part of a fintech called Metropolitan GetUp. We sit in the broader insurance group called Momentum Metropolitan. And even though we're part of a big group, we actually act as a startup. And so our resources were quite tightly managed. But at the same time, we needed amazing creative. And we've got a long-standing relationship with YES on a number of other initiatives. And so we started the conversation by saying, how do we mobilize this concept of the gigging economy? Because we literally went live as COVID hit and we were in level 5. So it was a really interesting space to launch a new business concept. But we applied our minds, and off the basis of what is the YES concept, YCC was born, which really built a bridge between corporations like ourselves to get direct access to authentic creative that is reflective of the youth environment that our brand wanted to speak to. So rather than using traditional agencies, which come with typical processes and lots of layers, and it's also quite costly. I mean, just the stock photography, you've got usage and the duration of your usage. I mean, not only were we able to save a significant amount of money, but the quality of the talent that came through was just phenomenal. I mean, beyond GetUp, our business started using it. In actual fact, Metropolitan Retail ran a Through the Line campaign, which included billboards, street pole posters, social media. There were newspaper print ads. So by no means is it just small pieces of campaigns here or there. I mean, very quickly, the Youth Content Collective actually became a Through the Line agency able to handle small jobs, which is just photography needs in certain instances, all the way through to, much bigger campaigns, which included corporate merchandise, if you so will. I mean, these are just some of the members. Yeah, it's been interesting to really just hear these stories and see how, when as a collective, we start applying our minds and we think differently and we create pathways for these conversations, how these youth really start transforming and speaking publicly. It's really been a wonderful project to be a part of and to just watch the evolution. Do you want to go to the next slide? So, I mean, I think essentially it's about great work that changes things and changes people, right? So, I mean, we always say it's like just about one brief. Every single brief that goes through YCC, you have the level of comfort in knowing that you're not only going to get amazing creative, but your spend is going directly to a youth member who is so deserving not only of the opportunity, but as one of my panelists mentioned earlier, it's actually going to their families as well. And I think that when we start to see the impact that we can make as a collective to these micro entrepreneurs, it really opens up our minds. When we think about youth unemployment sitting at a ghastly double-digit percentage, it's like, what can I possibly do? Well, if you need creative, there's a lot that you can do by just speaking to ICC and using the pathways that allow brands like ourselves to get to these youth. We're one of a multitude of funders who have put our brand very proudly so on the project. I think not only in the way the program has been run, how it's been delivered, the reporting for us to be able to track. I think the governance is sound, and so you really know where your investment is going in. But I think most importantly, it's meaningful creative. In that, I mean, the creative that you see in front of you now, really, I mean, all our photography comes from ICC. I mean, we've made a conscious choice. If we buy photographs, we don't go anywhere else because of the quality of the work that we've enjoyed. You want to go to the next slide? Yeah, and then I think this is just more references of the range of work that the team have done. And please don't think that the photography is just photography. I think, as I mentioned before, from eventing to videos and AVs. I mean, the level of skill and natural raw talent that has come from the cohorts that I've been part of has really, really been phenomenal. To access the service, they've made it super easy for businesses to connect, either through their social media pages, where there is a very simple brief that can be used. The team is, they'll send you a client liaison who would take your brief as you would normally with any other advertising agency. And so from a service delivery perspective, I mean, I'd really just want to commend Yes on delivering another program, which we will continue to use as long as we're in business.
Thank you so much for those introductions to the different areas in which you guys look after and you participate in. I suppose now we can just jump straight into our discussion. For myself, one of the things that I'm actually quite curious to find out, and I'm going to throw it out to all three of you, is, with a partner like Yes, who is obviously providing what seems like actionable, proven, simple solutions in which we can, create a pipeline for young people to walk into the working world. And I know we're talking specifically about the creative economy today. I'm curious what happens at the moment that they exit the program or they move out of the 12-month program. What are some of the challenges that you've heard from some of the young people who've come out of the programs anecdotally that you can share with us?
So I'm happy to jump in here, and then I'll hand over to my colleagues on the call. So what we find with the YES program is that our recent alumni survey shows us that we've got a 45% absorption rate, meaning that 45% of youth who complete the YES program, they end up in permanent or part-time employment, which is really so significant, knowing how high youth unemployment is within the country. What we've done lots of work on is to look at what are pathways for youth after the program, and how do we strengthen these pathways? So there's three main pathways which we see from the program. Pathway one is that youth are absorbed into the entity where they did their quality work experience. So if a corporate has sponsored the youth, or if the youth is hosted by Youth at Work, that youth will then in that option be absorbed into that pathway. Option two is that the youth would find their own employment or pursue their studies. When we offboard the youth, we take them through a free learning and earning platform called sayouth.mobi. And on SA Youth, you can access numerous opportunities for full-time employment, to pursue your studies, etc. And it's been really great to see how many young people have been able to actually self-start after the program, using their CV and their reference letter to find employment. The third pathway we see is entrepreneurship, and we are really driving with youth to say, how do you venture into this pathway more? Because what our baseline survey data shows us at YES is that 15% of YES youth have got a side hustle upon starting the YES program. On the YES program, as part of their smartphones, they've also got 12 entrepreneurship modules. So we've done lots of work in looking at how do we capture those 15% so that they can go into entrepreneurship and start their, or rather formalize their side hustles into sustainable businesses. Because the reality of South Africa is that there are limited jobs out there, and jobs have to come from SMMEs. So we have to empower young people with the tools and skills to be able to run their businesses. And we have to ensure that access to funding, access to knowledge, access to any legal assistance for young people is made as easy as possible. So those are three of the main pathways which we like to actually focus on and deal with at YES. And just yesterday, we were looking at alumni from two of our clients in the financial services sector. And what's so exciting is that, I mean, you've got YES youth who started as your unemployed youth, zero to little experience before the program, who are now doing cloud computing, who are now software engineers. One of the youth runs his poultry farm in the Northwest and is now a supplier of a local spa. And hearing those stories just really shows the potential of the program, but we definitely need to work more closely with our partners like Youth at Work and YCC to look at how we strengthen those pathways. But I'll hand over to my colleagues because I know that they've got a lot more depth to share there as well.
Yeah, thanks, Farai. The pathways unfold also from the beginning. So selecting the youth and selecting the host site are key components of the success or the lack thereof of the YES program. And I'll give you an example. I mean, we started off with really supporting quality education and placing a lot of youth in schools because the need is massive. Teachers really need support, and there's all sorts of jobs that the youth are doing. But now we've got another government initiative, which is the Presidential Youth Employment Initiative, which has put a lot of young people, funded a lot of young people to work in schools because the need exists. But what it's done is it has not allowed for future opportunities beyond the program. So where schools were able to employ beforehand, where they were taking the young people in and where they were becoming teachers or IT specialists or sports coaches or whatever in the schools, that's no longer happening because the schools are now reliant on government funding. And so our model of supporting the schools has to change. And the beauty about the YES program is its flexibility. And it is these kind of engagement sessions where we meet and discuss and say, look, this wasn't here. I mean, you spoke about COVID, Alexis, to say, you know, that wasn't there. And then you had to be innovative and creative and come up with something you had to solve a problem that wasn't there. And we constantly are solving problems together that weren't there a year or two ago. And therefore, I mean, the beauty about young people is they're here now and they take it from where it's at. So our constant engagement of every single program is different. We have funders who have different requirements. We have got funders, you know, completely different requirements all the time. And we need to sit down and look at area by area, location, sector by sector, what's going to work here and what else could we do in order to achieve the end goal. And that's really the work. The work is not a factory. This is not a churned, same, fits all. It really is a personalized experience where we collectively sit together and say, what's going to make this particular journey different to anybody else's? And we can see by the examples that the outcomes are all different. Even though you take two people, you give them the same phone, the same learning modules, same hosted environment, they'll come up with two completely different career paths beyond the program. And that's really the magic, is being able to provide enough tie-ins, enough touch points, that whatever your interest is, whatever your passion is, whatever your location gives you, that you can go with that. And I just want to really mention one particular case. I was down in KZN a while ago looking at some host sites, and there were two ladies who started off in a car wash. And they were washing cars, and they liked washing really fancy cars, particularly the fancy cars. And they started asking the owner, you know, what is this button for? And what does that do? And what is happening in the motor? And they were just curious, incredibly curious, and started learning more about the motors and more about the brands, and started engaging with their customers differently about, you know, the brand or the series or whatever. Their dream was to not wash the cars, but to fix and service the cars and maintain a business in car manufacturing. And now, 2 years later, we have placed YES Youth in that garage. They run a full functional workshop. They are completely accredited. They are completely, actually, unqualified by any legal standards. They don't hold formal qualifications, and they've self-taught and self-learned through e-learning platforms. And that's the magic. That's what's possible when we don't fix everything. We've got touch points, but we leave the magic in between to weave itself out. And between all of us, that creativity can spark and can go many different ways.
Thank you so much, Erica. Sorry, can I just mute you for? Yeah. I mean, on the call now, we actually do have one of the youth from the YCC. Her name is Bridget. Bridget, just checking if you are there. Bridget? Okay. I don't see Bridget. Is Bridget on the call? Okay, that's okay, guys. I see someone is, there you go, Bridget. Hi, Bridget.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. I don't know if you're able to switch your camera on for us.
Okay.
If you can't, it's okay. No, don't worry. It's okay. We would have liked to see your face. But I mean, Bridget, you are one of the youth who are in the YCC program. And I mean, we are talking today about how women in the creative industry can really unleash a specific kind of power. And my question to you, hi, there you are, is well, it's two questions. Number one, why did you choose to go into the creative field? And then if you could also take us through your personal experience being part of the YCC.
Hello, ladies. My name is Bridget from Alex. The reason why I went through the program is that I saw the opportunity for me to grow, because I went in as a filmmaker, but then I'm now a videographer and I'm a photographer. So yeah, it has a lot of benefits, and I saw it as an opportunity to grow myself.
Okay.
Then can you please repeat the next question, the
Yes,
other question?
Yes, of course. We just wanted you to share with everyone who's listening today what your experience going through the YCC program has been.
Okay, it's learning. It's so nice to earn while learning. And I've also been fortunate to also sell 6 of my photos from the Metropolitan GetUp. It was the James brief, I think. And then, yeah, one photo was like 3K. So it also helped me to also invest in my equipment, and I'm also getting paying gigs. I also worked with Erica, if she can still recognize me. Yeah, so for a gig. So I feel like it's a lot of opportunities if you are serious about your work, and then if you also submit on times and attend meetings, it's a great experience for anyone.
Okay, so I mean, for everyone on the call, according to the South African Cultural Observatory's 2022 Economic Mapping Report of the culture and creative industries in South Africa, the creative economy accounts for 6% of all jobs in South Africa, which translates to just under 1 million jobs. That's a lot of jobs. I don't have the specific stats of what that looks like with regards to what a percentage of that 6% that is occupied by women. But I guess maybe if I could just ask Alexis, because, you know, she does work with the YCC, and I'm sure in your capacity, you guys are briefing you're briefing the YCC, you're briefing a myriad of agencies, probably in your career that you've had to do. But maybe if you can give us a perspective from the private sector lens as to the importance of creating a female talent pipeline into creative industries in the creative sector.
Yeah, because sure, that's definitely a predominantly male environment. I think especially when you look at your more traditional agency sets. I mean, obviously, you'll be all noticing as the transformation is taking place, but still. So I think to that end, YCC certainly creates a targeted approach in having a specific kind of conversation. I think women inherently, we are, I am a sample of one, but I mean, there's a reason why I say women can multitask and men can't, right? So, I mean, I think in the South African economy, when you look at single moms and how the levels of innovation, from splitting their money to go in multitude of directions, working one job and a side hustle, putting children through school. What we appreciate about the YCC process is that through our creative conversation with them, you can be quite specific around the range of individuals that you're able to engage with, whether it's by race, gender, or the kind of input that they can have into your project. So there was one photo shoot, if I'm not mistaken, where the photographer, even though it was a photographic brief, the brief in itself enabled us to use a number of other individuals, whether it was models or just extras. But what we really appreciated was that entire project helped enable a variety of different individuals within that particular community. And so I think that, yes, there is definitely an opportunity to have more conversations directly with women through this process, because I think that you have more flexibility. I think in traditional agencies, it's quite structured. You are linked to the people who are linked to your account. If you have a preference to speak to someone else, sure, you can, but there's a very specific process that you have to go through. And I think that's not the case in this instance, which really does create a much wider opportunity, I think, to be more specific upfront, to say, for this particular project, for this particular brand, I want something that's nuanced with a female perspective. And the creative team at YCC will certainly connect you to the right individuals.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think one of the things, I come from an advertising background. I've spent the last 5 years of my life at an advertising agency, and you are right that the transformation aspect of it there is moving quite slowly. And I had wanted to ask a question around, when you're sitting in senior leadership positions like that, as a woman, do you feel the onus to send the elevator down and specifically pick other women to come back up to the top with you? Because we did speak at the beginning around the challenge of how limited the representation is from a female perspective in leadership positions. But it seems like the YCC does give you an option to do that and to purposely and intentionally integrate women in these creative conversations.
I also think just the opportunity to engage builds a level of confidence, because I think with these creatives, especially when you're a woman and you're trying to show up and present your skill set where there are lots of other men who have got the credibility, or shall we say street cred. I think YCC creates an opportunity for women to be taken through a process that helps them to build a portfolio that demonstrates, actually, my creative ability is not only on par, in certain instances can actually supersede, because women do come with a different way of interrogating situations and applying their minds in ways that, all respect to men, but they can't kind of, our perspectives are different. And I think that's where diversity is. It's a beautiful thing when it comes together and it works.
Maybe, so to come in here, and I think Alexis, your contributions are absolutely so insightful. And I can't imagine how it is to be within a sector that is just so difficult for women to actually be out there and get those opportunities. And when we think about the creative economy, it's such a diverse economy. There are so many different roles that one can play, from your photography to drama to singing, etc. And I think that's the beauty of that economy. And it's also why, as part of our sunrise industries has been the creative economy. And we've been very, very intentional in terms of looking at who are more partners we can get on board, and also who are more clients we can get on board as well, because we need businesses within the creative economy to actually push the creation of these jobs. And you mentioned as well, Thithi, that, within that sector alone, there are over 1 million jobs that can be created. And in a country which has got millions of people who are unemployed, imagine the potential of unlocking 1 million jobs from that sector. And I actually wanted to ask Erica to talk about the drama therapy project that Youth at Work does, because that is so fascinating as well. And it's another form of the creative sector. So Erica, would you be able to perhaps share that with us a bit, and also how corporates can be involved within that sector?
Yes, thank you, Farai. I just wanted to add here that I think the dynamic that women bring in is the collaboration. We're not shy to say we need 5 people to do the job, and it's not only a job that can be done by one person. And I think that's the power of bringing everybody into that elevator and taking them back up again. And an example of that is exactly the Drama for Life project, which we're running with one of our funders. And the impact is a number of different ways of doing something. We know our literacy figures, or the figures around the growth economy not happening because there's too few children choosing maths and science, and the grade 4 literacy levels are very shockingly low, and 78% of children can't read at functional reading and so on. So what can we do to not only increase the academic, but also look at unleashing the potential of the individual by allowing them to shine? And if that is a question, then we have to look at what are we doing about society at large being very traumatized, really being high levels of violence in all sorts of levels. And we need to unblock that. We need to reduce that so that we can all start shining. And going at it from one end only is not the solution. And Drama for Life have taken graduates in drama who apply their skills that they've learned, but in schools, by helping the teacher to really navigate that really tough, big classroom space with 60 kids and lots of rowdiness, and really a climate for non-conducive to learning, and using their creativity. And I watched it. It was just beautiful to go like, and another, and suddenly all the hum kind of stopped, and the whole class was, and then the teacher was able to speak when that stopped. So, really using techniques, creative techniques of working in tense, highly pressurized environments in order to break that barrier down, get on the same level, and then engage. And that's the beauty of that kind of program, is taking the creative to a different space, and seeing what amazing impact it's having now and for future generations.
Thank you so much, Erica. What I do want to do is, I do see that Nonzukiso's joined us here from the Textile Academy. And I know Farai actually brought in the lens, which was important to talk about how broad the creative sector is, and I would really love to hear from you around the impact of the program in your life. And also because, I have a couple of friends who are South African fashion designers, and they make clothes, and they're always speaking around how the textile industry, CMTs, etc., are closing. So it would be lovely to hear from Nonzukiso from the Textile Academy around the impact of the program in her life.
Much impact. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Sorry, I didn't see you there with the view, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I stay here in Freedom Bank, and then I joined the Textile Academy because I wanted to learn more about the industry, and then I also wanted to be a fashion designer and a fashion stylist. And then also on the side, I have my own business that I just registered a week ago. It's called Okwentokazi, and then I'm making earrings using leather offcuts, and then I'm also using wooden beads. I started the company a year ago because I've always been that woman who wanted to stand out or to look unique from everybody else. And then I saw to it that I just need to design my own thing that will make me unique. And then, of course, from that, because I've been also designing those items and then wearing them myself, and then other people saw them from me and then they wanted to buy. So that's how I started my business. And then getting back into this textile program, to be honest, there's not much that we have done so far, because we just got our program facilitator 2 weeks ago. But from then, we've done a lot, I would say. We've done a lot, from understanding the fabrics, from understanding the machines, the different types of machines that has been used at the industrial factories. And then also we're having some visitors who are different designers from different factories who also comes here to teach us about the industry. And also I have an experience because I was working at one of the factories in Cape Town where we were making bags, and then I was a production manager there. So I think also by working for that company, there's a lot of interesting things that I learned from there. And then that motivated me a lot to become more interested in the textile industry. Thank you.
That's exciting. We're all excited to see where your brand goes. Please make sure that you share links to whatever social media, e-commerce, etc. that you have, so that we can definitely support your business. I think what I would like to finish off with is to just give everyone a minute, please, because we have run out of time, to just give us their reflections as Women's Month closes, so to speak, on their viewpoint on how women within the creative industry, or women operating in the creative industry, can really unleash economic freedoms, not only for their families, but also for the country at large. Whoever wants to go first.
I'll go. I think if we look at the makeup of the households in the South African context, it becomes really risky when we start ignoring the role that women play, not only in families, but in the economy. So the more pathways we create to enable, to empower these individuals, we automatically start impacting a generation. They say if you can make a change in one person's life, you impact an entire generation. So I think just off the back of that, and the role that women play in the structure of our society in large, I think the opportunity that YES creates, not only through the YES program, but all the other hub programs, really start allowing us to see how we can activate our own agency through these programs to empower these women so that they can be the best that they can be.
Thank you. I mean, I just would like to say to all corporates who are watching is really keep funding, guys, because it is doing amazing, amazing work. And to the two ladies who are there, I mean, I've had the privilege of meeting both of you in your different places in Vredenburg and on screen. And you have not given up. I know it hasn't been easy, especially this whole Vredefort thing hasn't been easy, but you haven't given up. You didn't quit. You stuck in there. You waited for your program partner. You learned other courses like Excel and stuff in the meantime, and you really just grew your skills gap. So to the funders, please keep funding. To the youth, just keep on hanging in there until, and making it beautiful, and don't give up on your dreams. And to all of us over there, to keep on collaborating, to really bring more and more partnerships together, that we can extend that support that is needed for young women to grow in community. Thank you.
Hi, colleagues. I think that I've been captured so perfectly by Alexis and Erica. And I think, so just to add one more thing, that there are so many opportunities for employment within the creative economy. It's why YES and presidency alike have identified it as a sunrise economy. But for us to be able to unlock these opportunities, we need young people who are interested in growing their skills, using their skills, and just following their passions. And B, we need more corporates who are going to sign up with us so that we can create opportunities for unemployed youth at scale. You've got two incredible examples on this call of just where investing in young people can go. And I'm sure you are as inspired as I am by the stories of these two incredible young women, the skills that they have. I now know that if I want different forms of media, I can contact these different ladies. If I want earrings, I've got a contact in Saldana. So just please do invest in the YES program, because that investment invests in a young woman. And we know that investing in young women is what builds communities. Thank you very much, Nteta.
So we literally have 1 minute. So in closing, what I just want to offer as a perspective for me is that I think that the working world in general is really failing at creating spaces where female talent can grow into top positions. And the creative industry is no different. And in my view, it is because gender diversity is not really taken seriously. Most organizations talk about it, but there's no strategy or commitment from senior executive leadership on this. With programs like YES, where we've spoken about how many women that they have in their program, like Farai said, look at these two wonderful examples on the call today and the examples that Erica also shared. There's a pipeline being created of people of women who are ready to join the economy, to serve, to lead, to manage, to sit on your executive leadership teams. Because, I mean, even though it has been proven that companies with a greater share of women on their boards of directors and executive committees perform better financially, we seem to be lagging behind. So for me, it's been really educational and wonderful and humbling to be sitting on this call with everyone today. And, you know, like everyone has said on here, if you are on the call here in the private sector, participate. I think we all have a duty to play with regards to building the economy of our country. And like I said, if you include women in it, it's going to be amazing. So thank you very much for joining us all. Thank you to everyone. And I know that we didn't have time to take any questions, but this is such a big conversation, and there was a lot to be said between us. Hopefully one day we'll be able to sit and have a session where we can take some Q&As.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. Cheers. Goodbye.
Thanks a lot. Bye.